The who?
Descartes. René Descartes.
Oh, Descartes.
Yeah, he spoke about the automaton theory.
Oh,
Cool. So why do we listen to him anyway?
Well, it's like if someone's a good doctor,
yeah, I know.
but a terrible massage. I mean, in other words, it's like he did some good things, but he also had some serious ignorance.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that.
But if I go to a good doctor,
someone who said such a thing.
But you have to understand the age he lived in also.
Yeah.
I mean, people were so ignorant. For example, back then, like when I would give this example in Vasco da Gama, when he sailed to India, everyone in Europe believed that India was a Christian country. Because there was this legend that one of the apostles, James or something, went to India and converted the whole country. I mean, come on, don't be so stupid. Of course that's not it. I mean, they could find out. It's because India was always trading with the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf was always trading with, Turkey and everything, and Europe was trading with, and so, but for centuries, I mean, it's hard to imagine how ignorant these people were. And so in that sense, Descartes, considering the age he came from, was starting to make progress. Descartes was Catholic. He was a French Catholic, and you have Thomas Aquinas, who wrote the Summa Theologica, and which in its time was actually kind of revolutionary. So again, and it was Thomas Aquinas who, as they say, he baptized Aristotle, because Aristotle was the philosopher. I mean, Plato was lost for a while, and then Plato came back. But so during the Middle Ages, Aristotle was just the philosopher. So if you said the philosopher, that was Aristotle. And Aristotle has this idea where there are different kinds of souls, and the souls of animals are not like spiritual souls. So the soul of an animal just means almost like its biological structure or its anatomical structure. And automatons, that animals aren't really persons. And so Thomas Aquinas just took it from Aristotle. I mean, Plato was more spiritual, but Aristotle was a little more materialistic, and so Aquinas took it from Aristotle, and then Descartes took it from Thomas Aquinas, because that was the doctrine of his church. And so
it said when you kick a dog, it screams just because of self-preservation and not because it has
he was clueless about that. At the same time, there's two ways to look at it. You can say, well, here's this really intelligent person. How could he be so stupid about dogs or about other animals? Or you could say, here is someone in Europe at a time when they're just starting. It's a Renaissance, of course. It's a Renaissance by then. But they're just really coming out of these dark ages. They're coming out of this really abysmal ignorance. And the people are starting to think, and they're starting to reason, but they haven't really come out of it yet. I mean, Prabhupada, you know what the word Renaissance means, right? Rebirth, renaissance, rebirth. And so actually, Prabhupada completed the Renaissance. I mean, basically, in ancient times, you had this advanced civilization, especially in Southern Europe, Greece and Rome, Athens and Rome. So you had this really advanced civilization in terms of literature and philosophy and art. I mean, in many ways, they certainly had their problems, serious, but still, in many ways, it was a very sophisticated civilization. And then the Roman Empire collapsed, the Germanic barbarians took over, and civilization just went, phew, it just dropped. And so you had this super sort of sophisticated culture, and within a few centuries, it was hard to find someone that could read and write. So it really, society really just collapsed. And there's a whole story of how it started to come back. I mean, and then at a certain point, Charlemagne, Charles the Great, and they start to build schools again. And so, but society really collapsed. And then, so around the 1300s, some like famous thinkers like, Petrarch and Dante. Dante, the writer, and it started really in Italy, especially in Florence. And they began to think that, hey, wait a second. If you look back to that ancient civilization, those people are really intelligent. And look at now, it's like, oh my God. And so they realized they got to the point they realized that civilization really had collapsed. And it started earlier with the high Middle Ages and everything. So then It was those people, way back then, they're the ones who created these names like the Dark Ages and the Middle Ages. Why do they call it Middle Ages? Because it was in the middle between the great classical civilization and the rebirth of that civilization again, and that was the Renaissance. So those were their words, Renaissance. And in between these two great ages, you have the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages. But the Renaissance is really ultimately a rebirth of Vedic culture. Because if you look at, for example, Roman religion, or even Greek religion, it's very much what I call Mediterranean Hinduism. I mean, it really is. And if you look at it, it's even the language, ancient Latin, I mean Greek and Latin, it's very much like Sanskrit. I mean, not just like this word sounds like that word, but it goes into the like really deep grammar, the way the languages are organized. And I'm just give you one simple example. Just one simple example between ancient Greek and Sanskrit. It's not just that so many words sound the same, like you have aham, which becomes ego. But in Sanskrit, it's an inflected language. I don't know Hebrew. That means instead of using, like you don't say to Krishna or unto Krishna, you say Krishnaya. Like you don't, so unto is a preposition. You don't say I bow unto Krishna or to Krishna. You say Namo Krishnaya. Or if Krishna is the subject of the sentence, like Krishna sees, Krishna pashyati, or I see Krishna, then you say pashye Krishnam. So when you put an M, Krishnam, it means it's the object of the verb, I see Krishna. Or if you say I go with Krishna, gache Krishnena. So Krishnena means with Krishna or by Krishna. Or Krishnaya, unto Krishna, or Krishnat, from Krishna, Krishnasya, of Krishna, like it belongs to Krishna. Or Krishna, in Krishna, like Krishna, Swadhama, Upagata, and so on. So it's an inflected language. So Sanskrit has 8 cases. And if you look at those 8 grammatical cases, you find that 3 of them are very similar, namely the nominative, when the word, say Krishna or any noun, subject of the sentence, the accusative, when the word is the object of the verb, and the vocative, like Hey Krishna. Hey Krishna, Karuna, or for example, like Radha, a feminine word ending in A, if you're addressing the person, it becomes A, like Radhe. So what's interesting is you have these 3 cases, nominative, accusative, vocative, which are very similar to each other, and then the other 5 are similar in other ways. So there's like these 2 divisions. Exactly the same thing in Greek. Exactly the same thing in ancient Greek. Nominative, vocative, accusative, one group. The other ones, and they even make like they make endings in similar ways. So it's the similarity. It goes very deep. It goes into the deep grammar of the languages. It's not just that words are the same. And so, anyway, so if you talk about a renaissance, if you really want a rebirth of classical civilization, why not go all the way back and have a rebirth of the Vedic civilization? And so therefore, when Prabhupada came to America and started the movement, he was actually completing the Renaissance. So, I mean, from that point of view, so what I tell people in America, especially the gringos, you know, like the white Americans, is that this is not a foreign culture. This is actually, you know, this is like the original culture. So in that sense, we can see ourselves within history and understand what's going on. It's like, you know, it's like if you look at a picture of yourself as taken from outer space, you're going to be very small. And so in the same way, we are within history. You know, we get absorbed in the moment, but actually we right now, it's just like right now we're on a planet. We are these little things on a big planet, and we're in the solar system, we're in a galaxy. We are actually inside of a galaxy right now, although we don't think about it so much. We think more like, I'm in this room. But we're actually in a galaxy, we're in a universe. Similarly, we are within history. We are inside of history right now. And so it's good to be able to explain to people, to show them this is where you are. It's like those maps, you are here. You know? Mapat. I saw that. So like you are here. So if you can locate yourself within history and then explain to people,